like this part, Olympics.
Just so it made it.
Yeah.
No problem. If you want to use yours, that's fine. You got a backup copy here, okay? Excellent. Eighth graders, just sit in your same seats as yesterday if you would. That would help us for a variety of reasons, both for take and roll and contact tracing, which we hope we don't have to do. Excellent. Advisors, how are we looking? This is looking light to me. Kind of hard to tell. I'm going to give it another minute here. I think we're up. There we go. There we go. Fantastic. Excellent. Ms. B, any folks trickling along the quad here, or are we getting there? Coming at a run. That's the way they should be coming at this point. Yes, indeed. I had a dream last night, you guys, that we were doing this and nobody wanted to separate by two chairs, and all you and I were just running around like, no, two seats, you know, those anxiety dreams that you get as an educator. But look at you, nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. Fantastic. And it's not as cold in here as I thought it was going to be, so that's fine. Here we go. Come on in, eighth graders. We're ready to roll. We've got there we go, 5 awesome speeches today. Thank you, Ms. B. Fantastic. Good morning, happy Friday, and welcome to day 2 of our fall semester Voice and Vision seminar speeches. We're excited to get started today. We have 5 fantastic students. We have Tatiana Smith, Alexandra Nee, Hannah Rockwell, Isha Chodry, and Amani Norman. 6th and 7th graders who are watching online, good to see you all. Well, good to wave to you all. Thank you for your wonderful attention yesterday, and I know you will be attentive and respectful today. Families that are joining us, we're so happy to have you back live with us and to be celebrating your children today. So without further ado, Tatiana Smith.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tati, and my seminar project is the research of athletes' mental health. Mentally tough, or a strong mindset, are common terms you may hear when discussing an athlete's state of mind. Many top athletes are taught that they should always maintain a strong mindset and show little to no emotion. But not once in the definition of a strong mindset does it actually say an athlete needs to ignore their feelings or emotions to be mentally tough. Over the years, athletes have realized that they don't need to disregard their mental health for their sport. And because of this, more and more athletes have become more open to speaking up about their mental health. Back in November, when I first started my seminar project, I looked into Simone Biles, an Olympic gymnast, and how she had pulled herself out of the all-around final in the Olympics to work on her mental health. Because of this, many people on social media were upset, disappointed, and even went as far as sending her death threats for not competing. Along with Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka, a professional tennis player, talks about how her sport affected her overall mental health and well-being in her Netflix documentary. Continuing with my research, I found that more than 35% of elite athletes suffer from mental health issues because of burnout and stress from their sport. The 35% of those athletes included Michael Phelps, Serena Williams, and Imani Boyette, all professional athletes who struggle or struggled with depression. As a student athlete that has been playing golf for 8 years and dancing for 11, I noticed it became more and more stressful with wanting to be number 1 in my sport along with doing well in school. While talking to my other friends who are also student athletes, I realized they were also feeling the same way about managing school, sports, and their own well-being. This became the main reason as to why I created What They Don't See. What They Don't See is a podcast hosted by me, for student athletes like myself to relate to someone that is going through the same emotions and challenges as a student athlete, along with getting insight from sports psychologists who have worked with athletes, while also listening to other experiences from student athletes in our community. Each podcast episode of What They Don't See differs from talking about my own experiences to talking to a sports psychologist or coach and learning their views on athletes' mental health, while also gaining advice. Through the process of creating What They Don't See, I've learned how to manage my time while also setting up and attending my own meetings. But more importantly than being my own manager, I've learned the definition of a strong mindset. I've learned how a strong mindset doesn't mean disregarding your feelings and emotions to focus on your sport, but rather challenging and acknowledging those emotions or challenges head on to create a stronger mindset, and using those weaknesses and difficulties as fuel to be better in your sport and overall. Kevin Love, a basketball player for the Cleveland Cavaliers, wrote a powerful speech in which he said, and I quote, everyone is going through something that we can't see. The thing is, because we can't see it, we don't know who's going through what, and we don't know when, and we don't always know why. Mental health is an invisible thing, but it touches all of us at some point or another. It's a part of life, end quote. I love this quote because it shows how even the strongest athletes and powerful role models also struggle with their own problems, and how they are no different from the rest of us. I've learned that it's all about how you take something in and how you view it that can shape your mind. I believe that by talking about an athlete's mental health at this age more often can not only create a safe space for this generation, but also create a new path for a stronger and better generation of athletes. Thank you for listening.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alexandra Nee, and I'm in 8th grade. Thank you all for being here today. When I first started my seminar journey, I really had no idea for anything that I could create. I was rather relieved when, for the first few classes, we didn't do much as to the construction of our projects. Instead, we focused more on discovering our passions and understanding how to cater to our clients' wishes. During one class, we made wallets for each other and practiced using our clients' suggestions to create a wallet that they were happy with. These activities definitely influenced how I thought and went about my project throughout the course of my journey. They made me think more about genuinely enjoying what I was doing during the process instead of focusing on a perfect end result. At first, I planned to make a small book of my math notes from over the various classes. We had talked about what our hobbies were, as well as what we were interested in and what sort of questions we would want answered. I've been doing lots of math ever since I was little, when my grandma started teaching me at the age of 3 years old. And I wanted to share that. I figured that I would have this as a simple way to achieve something real for someone real. After all, I knew many people who struggled with math, especially fellow students. Many of my friends talk about struggling with math class, homework, and exams. And this is also a problem for many in the country. USA Today talks about how America has a smaller than average share of top-performing math students, and scores have been essentially flat for 2 decades. I wanted to create a math resource for everyone who would need it. As I did more research and talked to more experts and possible clients, I started to change my original goal. One expert especially influenced this decision by telling me that by making an online resource, I would be able to reach more people much easier. I considered her comment about expanding my resource, as I did want more people who needed such an asset to be able to have access to it. I thought about narrowing down what level of math information I would put in, with just algebra or geometry or even basic multiplication and division. Later, we were encouraged to consider how our projects would be helpful, whether they were wanted or needed or different from similar existing projects. I spent a while wondering how my project was unique. I asked some of my friends whether they would really want it or need such a website. And while I agreed it would be useful, ultimately I decided it was not enough. I wanted a more unique project that people could also have fun using. I had to think about whether I still wanted to change my project this late in the process. Eventually, I decided to change the idea a bit. I ended up creating a math Jeopardy website. I've always had fun playing or watching Jeopardy, and I hope to share that with others. In the game, people could interact with others while learning from their mistakes. I had the solution to every problem that they got wrong, and if someone answered incorrectly, they could learn from it while still having fun. I talked to some more experts and possible users. I added colors, fonts, music, and more. The website became more interactive, more interesting, and more engaging. My entire seminar experience has been completely different from what I first expected at the beginning of the year. When I first looked at my schedule and wondered what the block reading Voice and Vision seminar meant, my project is definitely a bit strange, but I really have learned so much from the class in the process of creating my website. I've learned about taking into account what your target audience is looking for, how you can use your resources to create something meaningful, and much, much more. I'm tremendously grateful for the experience and hope to start bigger, more impactful projects in the future. It has been wonderful seeing what everyone has accomplished. Thank you.
Hi, middle school. I'm Hannah Rockwell. I started my seminar journey with a slight idea of what my project will look like. I knew I wanted it to be centered around the importance of organ donations. I knew this because last year my mom had a live liver transplant. This is when half the liver is taken out of a person and put into another person after that person's unhealthy liver is taken out. This works because livers are regenerative like worms. If you cut a piece out, it grows back. This was part of my inspiration for my project because when my mom had a transplant, it saved her life. Although she had a liver transplant, she had to wait to find a match, and it took a while for the actual transplant to happen. This is a picture of my mom and her live donor, Kate Corzine, who actually graduated from Bryn Mawr with her. Because I don't want people to suffer like many transplant recipients do before they receive their transplants, I choose to research and present organ donation in order to raise awareness about becoming an organ donor. My mom was in desperate need of a transplant and her liver was dying. Here's a picture of the dying liver when it was removed. It's a little disturbing, so don't look if you don't want to. At first, I wanted to raise money for a foundation called Stepping Stones. Stepping Stones is a foundation that raises money for people who need transplants but cannot afford the extra costs that transplants bring in, including medicine, childcare, time off work, and travel expenses. Over the summer, I raised money for Stepping Stones by making bracelets. My next idea was to sell various items and raise money for Stepping Stones Foundation. I soon realized that I could not ask people to donate money, but I could raise awareness. So I went home and talked to my mom about what I can do instead of raising money. And we were thinking that I could make shirts or an item that say, "I know what transplants are." But that did not work because many people do not know what transplants are. So we decided I could talk to the middle school students and inform them about the importance, dangers, and general knowledge of transplants. So I decided that's what I'm going to do. Originally, I wanted to talk to the middle school community because that is where I was comfortable. But in seminar class, we had a Zoom with the elevator pitch panel so they could give us feedback on our project ideas. Our elevator pitch is a short 1-minute speech about our topic, explaining and hooking our audience. During the elevator pitch, one person suggested I talk to the high schoolers because they are soon or will soon be getting their driver's license. As many of you know, on your driver's license, you are given the choice to become an organ donor, but only if you were in a life-threatening situation where your brain was no longer functioning. I took that advice and started trying to figure out a date to talk to the high schoolers about organ donation and why they might want to consider donating if they were brain dead. To learn more about transplants, I talked to 2 experts about organ donation. After talking to Dr. Cameron and Dr. Hamilton, my mom's transplant surgeon and doctor, I learned that it's important to persevere because it is hard to do your original project and you have to adjust to the different ideas and knowledge about what you are learning. After working out all the logistics, I talked to the high schoolers and informed them about organs, how they work, what organs are able to be donated, and why they might want to consider being an organ donor. Since I'm talking to the middle school community, I want to encourage you to check yes as an organ donor on your driver's license. I want to encourage this because after death, you do not need your organs. Since you can't make this decision when you're brain dead, it is important to think about now. from organdonor.gov. Around 17 people die awaiting organ transplants, and you donating your organs before death could save 8 of those people. Choosing to be an organ donor ensures that if you were to be in a tragic accident, you will be sharing your life after death. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hello, my name is Isha Chodry. My something real was to bring the experiences of a few women who've made an enormous impact in my community right to you. I wanted you to hear about their accomplishments in their own voices in a 4-episode podcast. I was impressed by their determination, grit, and passion to make the world a better place. My someone real is the Bryn Mawr community, middle school students and faculty, and upper school students. I hope that my podcast, which I named the Wickedly Wise and Wondrous Podcast, W Cubed in short, sparks an idea or a motivation in some of the listeners. The leaders featured on W Cubed are definitely wise and wondrous, but they are also wicked, and I mean that in a positive way. Sometimes you can't change the world if you stay inside your comfort zone, so doing what these leaders have accomplished requires some wickedness and thinking outside the box. W Cubed features 4 women leaders. First off, Trevaria, a high school teacher and the founder of Columbia Community Care. CCC started as a small effort to provide supplies to the families of Erica's high school students at the start of the pandemic. Within a short time, CCC blossomed into a giant grassroots effort, with hundreds of volunteers supporting many families. I asked her how she did it and how middle school students can learn from her experience. Miss Erica responded, "I think first and foremost, our young people need to know that you all are powerful. Our young people have the best ideas." Next, I spoke with Miss Sadler, who I'm sure you all know is the head of Bryn Mawr School. I remember I was super nervous contacting her, but I knew that my someone real, the Bryn Mawr community, would learn a lot from our conversation. Her guidance, "There's no one right way to live your life, you find your own path," was invaluable to me. Next, I talked to Sarah Fishkind, a junior at Towson University and a passionate activist for gun violence prevention and racial justice. Sarah shared how she couldn't sit still after the 2018 shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. She said, "This work feels like I have to do it. It's not necessarily a choice for me because there are people dying." That stood out to me, and I admire that Sarah takes action. Finally, I ended W Cubed with Greta Luhar, an acupuncturist and the founder of the Kindness Pantry. The Kindness Pantry supports teachers and students by donating supplies and snacks directly to Howard County Public Schools. I volunteered for the Kindness Pantry, and I found the experience gratifying. Greta works with a lot of young volunteers too, and she shared with me that little kids are learning that it makes a difference if we do something. Yes, it does. A small act of kindness goes a long way, whether it's donating money or volunteering somewhere. During my conversation with these 4 leaders, I learned about resilience, confidence, improvisation, and the ability to speak with strangers. Let me tell you now, I was extremely scared before my first interview. It was with Erica, and I knew she had been interviewed by national media such as NPR. Not that Erica was a scary person, but interviewing impactful people can be daunting, given that I didn't know them and that they made such an impact in my community. I invited middle school students and faculty to listen to W Cubed a couple of weeks ago. Thank you to everyone who listened to W Cubed and gave me their feedback. One listener wrote, "I would be interested in listening to more activists because I really enjoyed episode 3. Another listener mentioned that their favorite was the Miss Sue Sadler episode. It was really interesting to hear about someone we knew so well. Everyone said that they would like to listen to more episodes and suggested that I include sports-related leaders, fantasy writers, and musicians. These women showed us that everyone can make a difference in their communities. Find an issue you care about and find like-minded people. You can use the power of teamwork and empathetic leadership to take action for the causes that you believe in. With that in mind, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, take a listen to one or more W Cubed episodes. If you have any questions or want to learn more about these initiatives, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you. Hello, my name is Amani Norman, and at the beginning of this voice and vision journey, we had to think of a topic that we felt passionate about. At first, I wasn't sure what small or large world problem I was interested in, but thinking back to my local communities, I tend to see trash in both of those areas. When I saw trash everywhere, it showed how little people cared about the environment. This got me thinking of a way I could show people why they should start caring and what they can do to help. Since I also enjoyed painting and coloring, I decided to include an art project related to reducing trash in the environment. Our first step was to do research. I found out that according to the International Coastal Cleanup and the Great Global Cleanup, pollution is mostly caused by plastics. Only 9% of plastics are being recycled, causing health risks and diseases such as asthma, cancer, bacteria-borne illness, and many more. The trash that also piles up in landfills creates methane gas, which when burned can have huge effects on climate and atmosphere. My final project consisted of making a slideshow of what recycling is, what the effects of littering are, and how this issue can be addressed in our community. I also wanted to create posters, but wasn't sure who a good audience would be. When I contacted an artist, Miss Gail Maxwell, she told me that third grade would be a good audience to focus on because they would be more engaged and interested. So I decided to present to the third grade class at Bryn Mawr and help them create posters promoting recycling. The most difficult part of the process I had was finding more contacts to get in touch with for more information on how to complete the project. This made my process slower and I fell behind on my final project. Eventually, I was able to contact Miss Choi, the third grade teacher, who helped me coordinate a date which I could meet the third grade. Since I also saw trash being thrown on campus, I decided to learn more about recycling we do on campus. So I talked to CJ Lar, our director of operations. He told me that a large amount of trash is collected here, but the trash and recycling can get mixed up a lot. Trash is also thrown on school grounds without people picking up after themselves. With my seminar presentation, I was hoping to teach little kids that when they see trash on the ground, it will not only help our campus, but will also be a small step to helping our environment. Before doing the presentation, I was nervous about speaking in front of students by myself and keeping them engaged. Fortunately, I got some practice in our seminar class when we presented our ideas as an elevator pitch to an audience. This short speech taught me how to have more confidence while speaking and helped me practice speaking in front of groups that I didn't know and have them give me suggestions and ideas. Finally, the day came when I went to work with the third grade. I spoke to the third graders and presented my slides. They were excited to suggest ideas on what to put on the posters and had many great ideas. I was surprised that my plan for making posters interested them and that they were excited to get started. Though they didn't finish making all the posters that day, once they were all finished, they would be laminated and hung around the school to promote and remind students to recycle. This experience taught me that young people can take something that they enjoy doing and come up with an idea to help their community, leading to something that expands and becomes bigger over time. If I were to work on my project for another year, I would hopefully get to pick up trash and clean my community. I would also be able to expand my idea with more time and commitment. I would find a place somewhere around the community to gather up a group of students and pick up trash to clean the environment. Not only do I hope the third grade has learned ways to prevent pollution, but I also hope that this project helps them spread information to others about pollution and ways to make the environment healthy again. Thank you.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. Those were exceptionally impactful projects and outstanding speeches. Can we give it up for all of our 8th grade presenters? And to commemorate all of your fine work this semester, Tatiana Smith, Athletes and Mental Health. Alexandra Nee, Math Jeopardy. Hannah Rockwell, Organ Donations. Isha Chodry, Wicked, Wise, and Wonderful Podcast. And Amani Norman, Recycling and Art. Thank you so much, middle school or 8th grade and all of our listening audience on Zoom. Thank you for supporting our scholars. We look forward to hearing more excellent seminar speeches next week. They actually have a little time now for snacks, so you can tell everybody they've got about 7 minutes to enjoy a snack before heading to class. Yes, awesome. And so
We have about 7 minutes left, and so you can go and get snack, congratulate our speakers, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.